Dr. Reeves, this is Omar Tyree. I thank you for being a fan of my work and for loving it and bringing me to this new fabulous Ballou High School. And so I'm going to sign this official book, Marion Barry's Mayor for Life, for you, and I want to come back. Okay, it's not just Black History Month. I have information all times of the year. And so we got to get out of that February thing and invite me in March, invite me in April, invite me in May, September, and October. And so I would love to come back. I love this school, and we got to keep these kids focused and moving forward toward effective and progressive careers. Okay, I'm Omar Tyree. Thank you again for bringing me out and for loving my work, and I will continue to do it for as long as I'm good and living well and able to think about our culture and defend our culture, because we need it every single day.
Thank everybody's attention, please. May I have your attention, please? So, for those of you who do not know, my name is Mr. Mitchell, and I'm bringing, how you doing, man? I'm bringing you guys in today to meet a dear personal friend of mine. How many of you guys are familiar with Marion Barry, first of all? Okay. Any of you in here ever met Marion Barry? Okay. So, I'll wait for you. So, I had the opportunity, I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I had the opportunity through my childhood friend, who I'm about to bring out here today, to meet with you, to meet Marion Barry prior to him passing. And some of you may know I do a lot of videography, and my partner had allowed me the opportunity, take your feet down please, thank you, had allowed me the opportunity to record him when they had just, when my partner Omar Tyree had just finished his book signing and on his writing his autobiography. So that was a historical moment, because a month later, Mr. Marion Barry, Mayor for Life, was gone. But we know that here at Ballou, this was one of his last major projects to get this school up, running, and built. So I think we need to give Marion Barry a round of applause for his efforts in that regard. Omar Tyree. Finished, brothers? Omar Tyree. He's a native Philadelphian. Again, like I said, he and I grew up on the same block in the city of Philadelphia. I guess we've had a relationship for over 40 years. He has been an author. He's a graduate of Howard University. Rick wrote over 20 novels, 20 fictions. New York Times bestseller, Phyllis Wheatley Award winner, and his most recent awesome project, and again, sold over 3 million copies of books that he's written. It is without pleasure, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce and bring to you today Mr. Omar Tyree. But before I do so, I want to show you something that I think will give you a clip of Marion Barry.
I'm sitting here with Marion Barry, the mayor for life from Washington, D.C., 4-term mayor, 16 years, still congressman in the city, and he finished his book, The Mayor for Life, in 2 years, less than 2 years, and I want to ask him, do you feel that this book has accomplished what you wanted it to?
Absolutely. You did a fantastic job of listening to all these voices, my voice, other voices, he put together. Everybody I've talked to It's easy to read it. It makes a lot of sense. And it reflects my voice.
Right.
You took my voice that was verbal and put it in written form. And I appreciate that.
Now, I hear that you're not afraid of somebody doing a movie on your life now, and you're supposed to be shopping in rights. Is that true?
Absolutely. It's true. We need a big screen movie. We're not interested in no screen. Big screen for a big man. Big vision.
Yes,
So
sir.
who do you have in mind to play that part of the famous Mr. Marion Barry, the man of the people? Who would play that part?
I don't know. I'm thinking about Jimmy, what's his last name? Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
Okay. All right. So what's been the biggest surprise about doing book signings? Has it shocked you? Has it been what you expected?
A lot of work. A lot of work.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah. But I enjoy it. I appreciate people coming to purchase the book, listen to the dialogue, like tonight at the library, and to personally interact with me and you. That's fantastic.
And you've been selling out at every event you go to.
That's right. Everyone I've been to, the people in New York underestimate us, I see. And so we're going to get,
Show it to 'em.
we get all the books we need. We don't run out of books.
And you're going to have a whole bunch of events for the Black Caucus when all the folks come to your town in D.C.
Oh yeah, we're gonna hopefully sell a lot of books.
And that's in September.
Yeah.
So when they come to
September.
Black Caucus, you need to have a panel discussion, you need to have a book event, you need to have an after-party book event, and make sure they know that, you the man that put the whole lot of things together in the city.
That's right. Absolutely.
So what other cities you guys have planned to hit?
Well, obviously we're going to Memphis.
Memphis? Oh,
Where I
definitely.
grew up.
Hometown.
Where I grew up, we're going to go to Jackson, Mississippi. I was born in Mississippi.
All right, Jackson, Mississippi. Big time civil rights work.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, down there in the bayou.
San Francisco.
San Francisco. What's going on out there? That political town.
Yeah, we're with Brown office.
What about Atlanta? You guys had
We
an
got
office?
Atlanta. We got
Okay,
Atlanta.
you got Atlanta set
Yeah,
up?
we got Atlanta.
Okay.
We have not fully put all this together, but our base is here in Washington. We're going to sell
Right.
a lot of books.
Right.
And they say, people know me,
Right,
but we're going to be all over.
right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Marion Barry, Mayor for Life, and he allowed me, Mr. Omar Tyree, to write it, and he's still working. This guy is working unbelievable. I didn't get a chance to talk at all tonight. He did all the talking. I got about 4 minutes of his 80 minutes, and so he's still doing it.
That's right.
That's part of my vocation.
There you go.
It's talking.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Omar Tyree, my man. Thank you for coming.
Good to be here.
And Power Club.
I got a lot of work. First of all, I want to say that this is a fabulous new school. I graduated from Howard University, so I've been in the D.C. area for the last 25 years. I'm married to a D.C. wife from the Northeast area, so I'm still part of the D.C. community. I got kids that have D.C. blood, so I've been here for a while, and this is a fabulous high school. So we're going to start off right there. Remember this high school, this is a new beginning. Have something like this, dude, I'm like, wow, with goosebumps just coming in the building. Okay, so I'm gonna start off there. Everybody has roots, everybody has a beginning. And so I want to talk about me right quick and how I became a writer, because we all have to understand where we come from and how we end up in positions that we end up in as adults. Born and raised in West Philadelphia, like Will Smith, okay? I came up in a hard area, single mom, who was educated, but a whole lot of times women like roughnecks. So she liked this dude named Robert Tyree, got pregnant her freshman year at college, and still had the baby, came back home, grandma raised. I didn't call my mom until I was about 9 years old. I called her Renee, so all my aunts called her Renee. I was in the household, they all called grandma mom. So I called grandma mom like everyone else, I called my mom Renee. And so I came up in that atmosphere where it was hard, fighting, defend yourself, and what's the
1970s when I was coming up, we had these kung fu movies, martial arts movies. And we had a theater in West Philadelphia called the Capitol Center. And the Capitol Center was about 40 blocks from where we lived on 38th Street, on 52nd Street in West Philadelphia. Back then, you know, as Bill Cosby talks about all the time, walking on the snow, walking miles and stuff, we would walk 40 blocks to get to the Capitol Center and then watch the movie. And at that time, I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and they had what they call triple features, where you pay for one movie and see three. Okay? So a C3 movie is about 80 minutes apiece, so you're in the theater for 5 hours. I'm 5, 6, 7, 8 years old in the theater for 5, 6, 7 straight hours. And then I would memorize the whole film. And then come out with kung fu voices and kung fu scenes and doing all the different movies and whatnot. And my uncles, who were teenagers at the time, they were like, this dude can memorize the whole movie. And so I had a great impact. The memory had a great impact, the detail. And so later on, my mom, instead of her being a single mom all her life, she still wanted to be involved with the man school like Jen. So she said, I'm not going to do bad by myself. I still want to be involved with the man. And so she ended up getting married to a guy named Omar. And this dude was 6'4", 225 pounds. At that time, I was 4'9", something, maybe 80, 90 pounds. And at that time, I was already a hard rock man child. Still everything, giving advice, and was when she married this new dude who was 6'4", 225 pounds, he said, we got new laws, new regulations, and new restrictions on this little young girl, because he's not going to let some little dude rule them in his household. And so we moved from West Philadelphia to a new area in Philadelphia called Mount Airy. And that was like moving on up, like the Jefferson show. Now, Mount Airy, another area called West Oak Lane, we had another area called Germantown. That's where I met Mr. Ty Mitchell. A whole lot of black people moved up into this latter area, and then we took over that area. And so within 10 years, that became 90% black. And in that area, we all wanted to be athletes. And so I was a football player. Every black person around wanted to play football and be a football player and go to the pro. And so we had the Old Lane Wildcats, we had the Ivy Hill Saints, we had the Rebar Raiders, we had the Northwest Phantoms, and we all had bragging rights playing football. Now basketball didn't come into play until later on. Once people started getting that height, they started getting 6'4", 6'5". But when we were young kids, we were all rough and hardcore, so football was the sport that we all wanted to play. Okay? And so at that time, I wanted to make sure we graduated from high school so we could go to college and play football, because you can't go pro in football straight from high school. That never happened. You got to go to college. And so I went to the University of Pittsburgh. Big East Pitt Panthers. You guys from D.C., so Georgetown Warriors always played the Pittsburgh Panthers when they were part of the Big East. With Syracuse and UConn and Villanova and Seton Hall, all these colleges. And so I went to Pittsburgh, wanted to play football. Once I got there, I understood how many African Americans were being used and abused for their athletic capability and never get a chance to go pro. And so we had 100 guys on the football team, but maybe 3 or 5 guys get a chance to go pro. And so those averages are not that big. You got 100 dudes, only 3 dudes, 5 dudes go pro. So I got more political in college. That was a movie that came out from a guy by the name of Spike Lee, rather. He put out a movie called School Days, where you have a radical black man talking about black power, what we need to do for the black community. I became one of those individuals at the University of Pittsburgh, where I was always thinking about black folks and black people, because I grew up in that way. Grew up in 90% West Philadelphia, then moved to 90% black, Mount Airy, you know, went to an academic high school, then went to the University of Pittsburgh, we were 3% black population in college level. And so we all hung out and gathered together, and we would always complain about racism and black people not having enough money, and black people not doing the things we need to do, and all other things. And so at that point, with me being a person that had an attention span, a person that could tell stories, I started thinking about writing all this stuff down and putting it in books and putting it out for our people, because somebody has to document it. And we know we all listen to rap music and we all watch movies, but we also have books where you guys read books that document history. And we didn't have a whole lot of African American writers at the time. You know, we would watch movies and listen to music. Nobody wrote it down. And so at that point, my freshman year in college, I said, man, I'm going to write a book. Like, I've been talking about movies and books and ideas. And I was the guy in the neighborhood that if we got into any type of trouble or fights, talking to girls there, I was the one that would verbatim. We met the girl here, she was wearing this, we met her over here, we ended up doing this, we were fighting because of this, the football game went this way, and so I was a local blow man in the neighborhood that had all the so when I got to college, I said, I'm already used to doing this, let me go to the new level and write it down. And that's what in college you do, you get more skills, education, and all that to utilize when you get out of school. And so I started writing my first book at age 19. And my friends thought I was crazy. You was writing books, man, what football players? What you talking about? Like, you think you Stephen King? They clown me big time because it wasn't something that black people did. We didn't write books. And so my friends were clowning. But I had enough confidence and enough roughness to say, you know what? Nobody writing books. I'm going to be the first one. Be the first one to write them. So I wrote a book called Color on White Campus, because that's what I was at the University of Pittsburgh. We only made up 3%. Right now, you guys are the dominant African-American new high school. You go to college, it may not be that way. And so at 3%, I wrote about that, being an African-American at the University of Pittsburgh. And then I wrote a second book which became famous, Black Book, where I wrote about Philadelphia's hip-hop level, and the earrings we wore, the block party we went to, the house party we went to, how we talk to each other, and all the different lingo that we use, and the graffiti, the breakdance, and the rap. Nobody wrote a book on it. I was the first one that did that. Okay? Then I came to Washington, D.C. after transferring Howard from Pittsburgh to Howard University my sophomore years. I wanted to be around black people. And D.C. was shocking city, 70% black. Philadelphia is not that black. We have more people than you guys have. We're about maybe 40% black back in the 70s. Now Philadelphia is about 60% black. But it's never been 70% black like D.C. So I said, I want to go to D.C. That's where the black people are. And Howard University is the black school, and I want to be a part of that. And so I transferred to Washington, D.C., went to Howard University, and then changed my major from pharmacy, where I was studying math and science, to journalism, where I could write newspaper art, magazine art, and books, because that's what I want to do. I want to talk about black people, document, and books. Okay? And so when I first started writing those first books, coming on the white canvas and the fly, before I got good at it, I wrote newspapers in Washington, D.C. I was a part of D.C. politics, part of D.C. sports scene, all the neighborhoods in D.C. I've been through all of them. Okay? And then I wrote a D.C. book. You guys can all do research on it. Capital City. You guys began a whole murder string. D.C. Drug territory in the 1990s. And so it became what we call the murder capital. And at the same time, I was going to school at Howard University, and we had parents calling all over the country, are you okay? Do you need to transfer schools? Do you need to get out of D.C.? Is it too violent there? And I had to tell the parents, no, it's only certain areas where the drug territory is causing individuals to kill each other. Southeast and Northeast. Okay? And so for the most part, I said, I need to write something about why this is happening. Well, for the most part, you guys are a lot more economic than we were in Philadelphia. Okay? You guys made a lot more money in the city. And so in this city, with you guys making so much money, it made it hard for people to be humbly poor. You don't want to be poor around people making all this kind of money. Now, Blue Collar Philadelphia, a lot of us were broke, so we didn't mind being broke. That's how we are. That's how we were growing up. So if you had a car pulling up, you had a car. Right? If you had any car. I came down here to D.C., man, you got to ride Mercedes Benzes, 300 CXs, and the girls had $300 hairstyles, and they had these used jeans. I couldn't even spend money in D.C. I said, it's expensive down there. So I understand why they murder for money and drugs and whatnot, because it's expensive to even live there. So I would go back home to Philly and pack up all my clothes and buy up everything and then bring it back to college. I couldn't even afford D.C. Right? Even dating girls. Girls to ask what kind of car you drive. What kind of car? I didn't have a car. So they went to the next level. I know you got a car. What kind of car you drive? I was like, wow, I can catch the bus in Philly and still have a girl. So that's how dominant D.C. was about money. And so I wrote a book about it called Capital City to explain the culture. You can look that up. First one to write a book about D.C. I'm not even from here, but I picked up on the language, picked up on the lingo. What's up, Joe? Where you going, Joe? What's up, young? Right? And so they had all the language and the go-go music and I adapted to it, picked it up, wrote it down, and D.C. people were like, wow, we got it spoken. Same way I have Philadelphia book with the Black Book. Somebody got to write it down. Now at that point, we still don't have enough black men to read. Black men don't like to read. We don't like to read the singers, we don't like to read the poets. I didn't like to read it. We have to. And so we had a whole lot of women that were writing books about relationships with men that were not great books about men, because a lot of times women were writing books, were writing about their bad choices in men. And so we had a whole lot of books that came out in the 1990s about horrible relationships. And so me being one of the only male writers, I had to defend the brothers again. I had to put out a book called You Right Man, because we do have people right men. Brothers that do right thing and become fathers, part of the church, part of the politics. Brothers that go to school, go to college, graduate, become fathers in the household. But we don't often talk about that. We talk about the bad stuff. So they like to talk about how many brothers go to jail, how many brothers got killed, and how many brothers are doing the wrong thing, and then they ignore the good brothers. And so I said, I got to write about that. And then I wrote a book called Single Mom because we got to the point where we were 71% African American household single mom. I was a part of that too. Right? But my mom got stuck on me and wanted me to get married. So I did not come from a single mother household after the age of 9. I ended up in a private household where I had to graduate into manhood. And so now I have 2 sons who have to graduate into manhood too. Because they have a private household. Whenever they disrespect me, I'm going to act like a husband at home. Right? Pop ain't raised no chump, and I'm not going to be no chump, and I'm not going to let my son chump me. So when things go down, they know they got to deal with dad and his size 11 shoes, and they're full it up for money. And that passes on. They have kids, they want to do the same thing. You keep your kids in mind because you know what you need to do at the end of the day, at the end of the range. And so my older son right now in D.C. and Billy Blood was in college right now, freshman at High Point University, wants to be a broadcast journalism major. How many of y'all watch ESPN? They got black people on TV all day long announcing sports. And so I watch so much sports, my son used to watch that and said, Dad, why are you watching all these talking guys? He didn't understand why we watch talking conversations about sport. Now he knows what we're talking about. Because he's used to it. And he's good at it. And so that's what he does now. Because somebody has to tell our stories. It's very important for us to be living people. And so for me, becoming a writer was very important, particularly as a male, because we had a lot of women that were doing all the writing. Okay? And so I wrote book after book and hit the New York Times bestsellers list as one of the youngest guys to do it, as one of the most urban guys to do it. In fact, they started a whole trend of urban books after I started. Because remember, my friends were clowning me, nobody was writing books about urban black America. There was no capital city about D.C. There was no black world about hip-hop in Philadelphia. There was no books about urban black community. But you right now, Single Mom. Then I wrote a book about black love in St. Louis. Before they had the riots and the police break out, called Sweet St. Louis. And so I've been writing books for the last 20 years. And then we had a man in Washington, D.C. by the name of Marion Barry Jr. Put Washington, D.C. on the back. He's not from D.C. Everybody has a beginning. Marion Barry Jr. was born in a little town called Elvina, Mississippi, a sharecropper, which means that his family lived on farm property and they had to farm the property to make their living. Typically, the properties were owned by white men, and the black families had to farm it, get them the money, and then they allowed you to live there. And they always raised the price. And so every time the people you get out of debt, oh, you owe me $500 now. You said it was $300 last month. Well, now it's $500. Then you $500. Oh, you owe me $800 now. You said it was $500. Well, now it's $800. And so you had black people who were locked in poverty in the South. And so Barry's mother, she said, I'm not tired of this. I'm broke all the time, picking cottons. I'm getting out of here. And so she actually left the father, moved to Arkansas, and then ended up in Memphis, Tennessee, where Marion Barry grew up. And he became another child of a single mother household. But his mother did the same thing my mother did. His mother said, I want to be married. I want to be part of a family. And so she married a man. Marion Barry was in a household where he hadn't graduated to manhood. He was not an athlete like I was, but he was a scholar. Marion Barry loved education, loved speaking. Another thing that Marion Barry, somebody has to speak and recognize what's going on in the community, things that's wrong. And so Marion Barry became an early speaker at age 13, 14, had a paper route. And his paper route, he ended up having a strike at 15 years old because he figured out that the white paper boys, you know, people that pass out papers at the back on doorsteps, he figured out that the white paper boys were getting paid more money than the black paper boys. And the white paper boys were getting trips all around the country that the black paper boys weren't getting. And we're talking about the 1940s. And so at that time, we said, well, we're not going to deliver papers anymore. 15 years old, he told all the black papers, we're not going to deliver any more papers until they start paying us like they pay the white guy. They start giving us the same treats that they give the white guy. And so this is Marion Barry, age 15 years old. All the athletes admired him because he took care of business. And he wanted to go to college. Now, when it got time to go to college, it's going to be the same thing between you guys. Some people don't want to go to college. They don't see the use in it. I don't feel like going to college. I don't want to get to that point. Marion Barry went through the same thing in the 1940s. So he ended up becoming one of the only guys that went to college from his neighborhood, from his high school, Benjamin Baird High School, out there in Memphis, Tennessee. And so at the college level, he became one of the youngest guys in college.
On the introduction, Joel Owens, please report to the main office. Joel Owens, please report to the main office.
Marion Barry figured out that a whole lot of older folks were coming back to college, and so he ended up being one of the youngest college students, right? And he was studying philosophy, studying sociology, and then he ended up studying chemistry, which is ironic again because I was studying the math and science field as well. And as a chemistry major, he had a phenomenal recovery or phenomenal imagination, phenomenal memory and detail. And so in that time, he was one of the youngest guys, one of the youngest speakers, always speaking out for something. Memphis, Tennessee, and he became a student leader in college. He became one of the fraternity members. And then he thought about traveling around the world and joining the military. And then he got involved with the civil rights movement in the early 1960s. And at that time, he had an idea that he could continue to be a teacher and teach chemistry. But instead, he started to get involved in all the black power movements around the country to give black people more voting rights, give black people more education, give black people better economics, give black people better living resources. DC, and he's still in Memphis. But the civil rights movement moved him around in different places. But he got the chance to go to Texas, got a chance to go to North Carolina, Atlanta, California, New York, and then he became involved in the DC March on Washington. In 1964, his first time coming to Washington, D.C. And in D.C., he found that the same thing was happening. Black people lived in Northeast D.C., Southeast D.C., Southwest D.C., were not a part of the political movement. Didn't have political jobs, didn't have a lot of the households he figured they should have, didn't have the educational resources that he figured they should have. And so Marion Barry wanted to move to D.C. and start things up right here. And so he moved to D.C. at age 29, in 1965, and immediately started things happening in D.C. Bus boycott.
Please find the introduction, Trayvon Lord. Please report to Mr. Cochran's office, Trayvon Lord. Please report to Ms. Cochran.
And so he moved to D.C. in 1965 and started a bus boycott. At that time, the buses wanted to charge black people more money to ride the bus. And Marion Barry said, we already don't have enough money, now you're going to charge us more than a nickel. You're going to charge us 10 cents. That's back in the 60s. So 10 cents was a lot to catch the bus. And so we had a bus boycott where black people said, all right, we're going to walk instead of riding the buses unless you keep the fare low and we can afford it. And then Marion Barry started this whole free D.C. movement because he wanted to separate D.C. from the federal government, where the federal government made all the rules for the people that lived there. And he said we should be able to make our own rules. And so he wanted to have this whole free D.C. movement. Now he was not originally from D.C. He was a Memphis, Tennessee, Mississippi boy. But he understood that black people had to fight for certain rights, fight for certain positions, fight for certain opportunities. And so he came to D.C. and forced on the people to fight these different things. And he said, I'm going to run for the school board. He ended up running for the school board, becoming a school board member where he could annihilate some of the racism that was in the school district and get better school conditions for black kids. Get them acclimated to going to college, get them better academics. And then from there, he said, all right, I'm going to the school district, let me run for the mayor's office. And so then he ran for the mayor's office, and with the politics of knocking on people's doors from all the different areas in D.C. with that whole civil rights background, Marion Barry became one of the most famous people in D.C. and people voted for him as the mayor in the early 1970s, 1978, I think was his first mayor. So we went from 79 to 83. People loved him. And at that time, he started looking out for black people. Black housing, black education, black economics, black government officials. And so we had more black people hired from government than we had ever seen. More black people getting new housing than we had ever seen. More black people getting educated because Marion Barry said we're going to make it happen. And he was in a position to make it happen. More black new schools we've ever seen. In fact, this school right now is just sitting there. Marion Barry made it happen. Because he said we need a better school in the South Beach where black people live. Okay? And he wasn't going to make any excuses about it. And so with all the things he did, he started getting in trouble with his personal life. And so now all the people that didn't like him, he's doing too much for black people. He got too much pride. He run his mouth too much. He got too much power. We want to take him down. And so they start following all the negative things he did. Relationships with different people, relationships with drugs, his personal life, had people spying on him, trying to bring him down and make him look bad in front of the people. And so we had a whole lot of bad kids and getting in trouble. That's what a whole lot of people around the nation. I'm from Philadelphia. But I lived in D.C., went to school in D.C., wrote newspaper articles in D.C., been around D.C., so I understood how great of a man Marion Barry was. But Ty Mitchell, who y'all know now, is still in Philadelphia. And so the news that he got in Philadelphia were all the negative things about Marion Barry. The news they got in Baltimore, the negative things. The news they got in New York, the negative things. Atlanta, the negative things. Chicago, the negative things. Who is this man doing all these horrible things in D.C. that people keep voting for? And so at that time, even before I got a chance to write the book, I had to defend your mayor all the time. No, this dude got better with black child and black education and black. They don't like him because he's doing too much for black people. Sure, he does some things in his personal life, but at the end of the day, it's more important for him to do things for you as a man than you to get involved in his personal life. So that's what we all said, look, that's his personal life, but what he's doing as the man still benefit the people. And so they couldn't understand why you guys in D.C. would continue to vote for this guy, because he's looking out for you. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Now with all this, nobody writes books, people write movies, people get on the radio, people talk about it, people put it in a rap song, but books, when you knock it down and put them in the library. And so now my skills as a writer, at that time I've written about 18, 19 books. Marion Barry said, I want to write my book. I want people to know the things that I have done in my last 30, 40 years of politics in Washington, D.C. I don't want to go down with all the negative things. Somebody got to write the good things that I've done. Now, who has the skills to do it? And this is where I come in. This is where you come in. If we don't have anybody that has the skills to do it, then we're in trouble. Now we got to find somebody outside our culture who may not like Marion Barry, who may not defend Marion Barry, who may not want to write his story and be objective about all the positive things we do. But he looked up on his hard for Philadelphia to graduate from Charlotte. And at that time, we sat down in Washington, D.C. and said, Omar, I want to write my book. And I had an outline. That's the first thing you do. What do you want to write about? You create an outline of what you want to do. And I had written 17, 18 books at that time. So I went online, like you guys all do. You go on research me today, Omar, Tyree, go online, Google me, all kinds of stuff to pop up about what I've been writing about it, involved in what I've been doing. So I Googled Marion Barry, and I had a whole list of information. And so from that information, I designed an outline of how we're going to write this book. And I showed up with my outline and passed it to him. And he looked at the outline and said, this is fabulous. So he said, Omar, how much would it take for me to write the book with you? And so I gave him a price, and he said immediately, let's do it, Omar, let's start next week. That's why Marion Barry got so many things done. You got a lot of people that like to talk about it. But when it comes time to do it, they don't show up. Now, I'm going to pull it up, and we always show up. That's the way we raise it, pull it up. If you say it, you got to do it. That's the thing my father told me all the time. You will step out 20, 25 now. He said, if you say it, I expect you to do it. And so everything that came out of my mouth, I was expected to do it. Marion Barry, the reason why the school is standing right now, when Marion Barry said we need a new school in Southeast D.C., we're going to make it happen. No red tape, none of that nonsense. Make it happen. That's why we're in the school right now. He was that kind of man. And so when he sat down with me and he said, oh, this is an excellent outline, I want to write my book, and I gave him my price, he said, let's read to it, we shook hands, he said, let's do it. The next week we'll be working on his book. That's business. That's serious, people. We get too many people that talk and don't walk the walk. Okay? Now I got 18 books, 20 books, now it's up to 28. I just finished another one because I walk the walk. It's about the activity. Right? Super Bowl, Marshawn Lynch said it's about that action, boss. It's about playing the game. And this game of education, the game of skills, the game of life. If you don't have any skills, you have nothing to offer. And so I had something to offer because I had the skills to write, to organize, to defend the mayor in your city. I'm not even from D.C., but I understand. I get it. I love black people. And so I want to defend us wherever we live. And so I wrote about Chicago. I wrote about St. Louis. I wrote about D.C. I wrote about New York. I wrote about LA. I wrote about Jamaica. Okay? Because I'm defending black people. Somebody got to do it. It ain't always going to be on a rap album. It ain't gonna be some R&B song for 3 minutes. We gotta look at it the long form and sit down for a couple of weeks, hours, and then put it on our shelves so our children can hear it. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to hear. That's the importance of it. And so we put the book out. Mary and Barry, of course, passed on November the 22nd. We had a gigantic funeral here in D.C. Oprah had his book on TV, did the New York Times bestsellers list, and now I have to defend this book and this life for the rest of my life. I'm 45 years old, he passed at what, 78? Okay, so if I got another 30 years, I got another 30 years to talk about the man. But if I'm not here, you got the book. Because I put the book together for you to read and learn about it. That's where the skills come into play. Okay? So Mary and Barry is a great man like a whole lot of other great men, and I'm very honored to have that opportunity to utilize my skills to write a book about his life. So what I'm going to do now is just break down 5 keys of literacy. I have an organization called the Urban Literacy Project, ULP, because I understand a lot of us don't look at the reasons for literacy and the importance of being able to read and write. But I had to come up with these 5 key components so you understood exactly why it's so important to have these skills. Okay, and we want to open up for questions and rock and roll from there. The Urban Literacy Project I developed because what I found out, a lot of women know my books, read my books, a lot of guys without reading. So I wanted to attack men and get them to understand how important reading was. But at the same time, we have some women that don't like to read either. And so it also makes them. And so some of you guys may not have memories like I have. If you do, you can pass this on to the other groups of people who are not in the room. But I basically have 5 key components, all right, for people that have great memories. And these 5 key components will never change as long as you live. Because the whole world all applies to these 5 key literary components. Number 1 is reading. That's always going to be number 1. And a lot of us don't understand what reading is. All right, so I'm going to give you an easy definition. Number 1 is reading. The definition is taking in information. I told you guys when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I watched 5, 6, 7 hours of movies, and I memorized information. I memorized voices. I memorized detail. And then I regurgitated it to my uncles who found it fabulous. And then I ended up doing it later on, regurgitating information in books. Because you can't write anything if you don't know anything. You can't talk about anything if you don't know anything. You can't make money off of anything if you can't do anything, which comes from information. And so reading, when you guys hear that whole word reading, you think about reading books, magazines, you're reading me right now. Okay? Am I tall? Am I short? Am I light brown or dark brown? Am I wearing a suit or am I wearing a sweatsuit? Am I wearing a tie? What color tie? What color pants am I wearing? What color shoes am I wearing? That's reading right there. Your eyes, everything you see is a reading. And I grew up in West Philadelphia, I had to read fast because it was dangerous. In Southeast D.C., you got to read fast because it's dangerous. You got to read everything around you quick. And so when they first started headphones, I never wore headphones. Ty Mitchell would tell you, we couldn't wear no headphones. So now you can't hear anything behind you. That was dangerous, but I ain't no way in the world going to wear headphones in West Philadelphia. I might get robbed and don't even know they're coming up behind me. I want to be alert at all times. I'm just telling y'all what reading is. Everything you hear is reading. I used to watch women sniffing food all the time. I couldn't, what the heck are you smelling the food for? The reality is most girls are going to become cooks in the household so they have a high sense of smell. My wife is always smelling things that I can't smell. What the heck are you talking about? What's that smell? What the heck are you? You're reading. Everything you smell is a reading. You can smell the chicken, the watermelon, or whatever it is in your household, strawberry, and you're not in the same room, but you're reading. That's a reading, right? Everything that you taste with your tongue is a reading. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it spicy? Is it hot? Jamaican food, Chinese food, it's a reading, right? Everything you touch is a reading, right? Let me show you something. All right? You got a big hand, a warm hand, a oily hand.
Whoa!
Everything you touch is a reading. All right? And so I typically ask people who don't like to read, a lot of people raise their hands, say I don't like to read. What you're thinking about is reading books and magazines and newspapers, say you don't like to read that, that's information too. But you do like to read. How many people like to see? How many people like to hear? When you got a cold, you can't smell or taste anything because it shuts down your reading from your nostrils to your tongue. But you want to taste food, right? You don't want a cold. You want to read with your nose, you want to read with your tongue. How many people like their hands? You read. And so that's how we read every day. Let me tell y'all something. When you say you don't like to read books, magazines, and newspapers, you lock out more information. Because that's where the information is. You get to know more things. And people with information end up making money. Now this ain't a lot of money right here, right now. I only got about $7. Right? But people with information make money because we can supply the answer. Yo man, how do I do this? Oh, this is what you need to do. Yo man, how do I get here? This is what you need to do. People with information end up in positions of employment. But as Chris Rock said in his famous media show, Bring the Pain, a lot of black people love the words, I don't know. I don't know, man, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, I can't give you no money because you didn't give me nothing. Yo, man, how do I get to Ballou High School? I don't know. Okay. How do I get to Ballou High School? Oh, you make a left on King Avenue, then you go on 2nd Street. Okay, great. Boom, get a job. I can't give you $1 you didn't know. But we love saying, I don't know, and don't understand how that's going to affect us later on. And so I always wanted knowledge. That's what reading is about. I always wanted information. That's why I'm ready to read about your mayor, write about your mayor, all over the city. I go to the cities, I study them, I pick up on the language, what they do, how they dress, how they think, what they look like, and then I write books on them. Information. Right? That's number one. Reading is taking in information. That's why it's important for y'all to be able to read. You know more. When you know more, you're more valuable. Second, I got 5 components. We're going to run through them. The second one is writing. I'm going to take out something. Y'all know what this right here is? Pen. What we write with? Pens, pencils. You got typewriters. You got cell phones. Now, here's the definition. Reading, the definition is taking in information. Writing, the definition is the ability to communicate. Now, I have not done anything with this pen. How have I been communicating with you? Talking is writing. I'm going to tell everybody in the room, I don't trust quiet, shy people. Don't trust them. Because they're always the ones that something happens, you don't know nothing about them because nobody asked them nothing. And so I always get around shy people and say, who are you? What's your name? Did I hurt you? Did I do something? Because I want to know. Because if they say in the Bad Boy records, bad boys move in silence. I got to know if I made you bad. We cool, man, we cool. So everything's watched at school? Yeah, it's cool. I want to hear it. Because if you don't say that, you got a vendetta against me. I don't want to be in the dark. Don't trust shy people. You got a voice to speak, use it when you need a job. Use it when somebody did something wrong to you. Use it. We got this no snitch rule. Somebody did something to you, now you want to snitch, you want to be in silence. Right? That's not communicating. That's not right. That's not affecting anything that's positive. Writing. People that write, communicate, they get the job, they let people know what problems are there. That's what Marion Barry did. He had to write the laws. He had to talk about things more. So I'm a writer. That's what I'm here to do, to speak to you so you get the information you need to get to communicate. And so my son was in the 3rd grade, and that penmanship didn't look good. You know, we had to write all those daggone homework assignments, and it didn't look good. I said, write it over. Oh, damn! I spent the hour writing it, but I can't understand it. It's not good writing. Write it over and become making me. Oh, that, because they put your writing on the wall, and if you can't understand what you wrote, you cannot communicate. You can only communicate when a person understands you. That's why it's good to learn how to speak effectively, so people understand you. I know they got DC voice, Curry and Joe, right? And you can twist the R's, but sometimes we got to straighten up our language, right? Our language, our slang, so we can be understood. They may all understand you in DC, but what you have to speak to a New York person, or Chicago person, or an Atlanta person. We have to be able to communicate. That's what writers do. To be able to spell, to be able to write, to be able to think in that way. And so that's what writing is, the ability to communicate. But what if you can't speak? What if you can't spell? What if you can't put a sentence together? Now you can't communicate with people around you. Guess what happens to this money? You can't communicate, you don't make no money. Because I don't know what you want. And you can't do anything for me to effectively want to give you any money if you can't communicate. And so all that shy stuff, those mouths gonna get fed. That's why I'm loud now. Mr. Ty Mitchell is loud. They raise us loud and put it off. We don't know how to be shy. We gotta get it. We gotta get it. Will Smith learned to talk a lot. We gotta get it. That's what happens with people that can communicate. That's why this pen is so important. Now we got two key components. Reading, taking in information. Writing, the ability to communicate. The third one, thinking. When I was at Howard University, right here in Washington, D.C., I'm a hyper-thinker. I think all the time. I take in information all the time. Right? And so I started calling myself a genius. Why? Because genius, that's what they're known for. They're always thinking about insane, crazy ideas before other people come up with it. And so I'm writing these books before other people do it. I'm coming up with ideas before other people do it. And then I would always ask people, because I'm a journalist, I'm always asking questions because I wanted information. I started asking people randomly in D.C., what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? Right? Sometimes I ain't even know. I just want to hear what you think, because I'm always thinking. Guess what the most common answer is? Nothing. Right? Nothing. I'm thinking. Now, you're talking about literature now. Thinking. Saying nothing is the biggest lie in the world. We all think all the time. But as a hyper-thinker, I came up with the word or the reason why you say nothing. What you're really saying is, I don't know you. I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is none of your business. What I'm thinking is crazy, and I don't want to validate that I'm crazy by telling you. What I'm thinking right now is disorganized, and I haven't really put it together yet. And so when you really say nothing, what you really mean is, don't bother me. I don't feel like talking about it. And so I know. What are you thinking about? Okay, that's all my choice. Right? Because you're thinking nothing. But if you actually come up with something, I'm thinking about this rap song. Oh, you thinking about a rap song? I own a studio. Let me hear it. Now the fact that you express yourself allow me to say, hey, I'm thinking the same thing. But if you say nothing, I don't know what you're thinking. The conversation will close. Guess what happens to your money? You got a closed conversation, money disappears. I'm going to go to the person that's willing to share their thoughts with me. That's why in academic circles they call them think tanks. Let me give y'all the definition. This is the first. Everybody listen? Thinking is the process of everything. Everything you do starts with thought. Some people may be bored right now. I understand that. That's what they're thinking. I can't wait to get out of here. I'm tired. I'm up too late. I can't wait to go home. I can't wait to eat. Can't wait to call my boyfriend. I can't wait to play on my video game. Right? That's what we're thinking. So instead of getting the information, we're thinking other things, so we lose the information that could have helped us to come up with some dollars later on. Because guess how this thing happens? Whenever I ask you what you're thinking and you throw out the idea and say nothing, you're throwing your own ideas out the window. I didn't do that. I thought about what I was thinking. And then I wrote it down. And then I put it in a book. And then I put my name on it. And then I put a price on it. And then I sold it to you. And then I made money. And then you said, Omar, where do all these ideas come from? Well, I was thinking everything. And I wrote it down and made money off of it. When I was asking you what you were thinking, you said you were thinking what? And that's why you had what? People that have something to think about. Okay? That's literacy. All right, now, let me give y'all a quick trick before we move to number 4. If you were really thinking nothing, you will be in this room butt naked right now.
Oh.
And I say that on purpose. I have a 15-year-old son with DC and Philly blood who turns 16 tomorrow. And when my son Kanoy was 10 years old, he would have arguments with his mother every single morning about what he's going to wear to school. Because he wants to look fresh every day with a new pair of sneakers. I wore this shirt, and I would wake up and say, God dang, put the clothes on. That's why we have uniforms now, because we spend so much time thinking about how we going to look in our new gear. But then when I ask you what you thinking, you're going to say, yeah, the fact that you got clothes on means that you were thinking this morning. Because every time you get dressed, you put your clothes on, you comb your hair, you make yourself look good, because you know you have a presentation to make when you show up at school, wherever you go. That's literacy. You got to think to become what you want to be. All right? You want to keep moving. Number 4, Visualization. Now, that's a hard word for Charlotte High School. So I'll be able to grab that. Visualization. How many minutes we got? I can do. Visualization. The ability to see past, present, and future through words and ideas. That's visualization. So that's a harder definition. All right, now, how come visualization is important? How many people see themselves in a house 10 years from now? How many people see themselves in a car 5 years from now? How many people see themselves with grandchildren and great hair 30 years from now? 40 years, right? How many people still see themselves alive 50 years from now? How many people going to leave D.C. 20 years from now? Now, that is visualization. All right, let's stop right there. Being able to see past, present, and future through your words and ideas. Literate people are able to do that. But sometimes I ask some thug cats, hey man, what you going to do 5 years from now? Man, I don't even know, dog. 5 years, that's a long time. I don't even think that long, dog. I don't even know what I'm going to do next week, man. I don't know. Yeah, y'all laugh, but I know a lot of people that's like, they think it's cool to say that nonsense. Man, I don't even know what I'm going next week, man. I don't even know, man. I don't die. 5 years, man, I don't even think that long. I already know, if you can't think in 5 years' time, you ain't going to make no money, dog. You got to think in advance about how you're going to make it happen. How many people want to play football or basketball? You got to think in advance. How many women want to have good money and a good household? You got to think in advance. It don't happen randomly. You got to visualize it. All right? Now I'm going to talk about a toy that we used to have when we were kids. All right? Right now? Are they joining us? No. Or they have to go? All right. You got a question? The definition of visualization. Okay, all right. Last one. Application. All right. Application. All right. Application is the ability to apply skills. All right. Now, before we wrap this thing up, let me grab this right here. All right. What y'all think of it? All right. How many people want a job when they're 25 years old? All right. What you have to fill out to get a job? All right. Stay right here. Watch how this works. What's the first thing you need to do when I hand you this application? Read. Because you got to know what I need from you. What if you can't? All right. What's the second thing you got to do after you read what I want? Write. What if you can't write? Now, if you want to write more money, the application is going to get thicker because they want you to do more what? Thinking. They want you to read more, write more, and think more to make more money. Now, if you go to an interview, hey, have a seat. Have a seat, please. Have a seat. Have a seat, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, before you move, I'll first commend you on your demeanor. All right. I want to commend you on your behavior, and I hope you were able to grab something from this brief meeting. Hopefully, I'll bring this to Omar to be back again. So show them your appreciation, please. A round of applause. And until you guys exit out, if somebody want to get something signed by him, you're able to